but I do want to pull out the Pixel 7 Pro. And here it is. Oof. So, one thing they mentioned, and it's been a minute or two since we've had this, the dual versatility, I should say, of the unlock functionality. So what I mean by that is face unlock, which they described, and fingerprint in-display unlock, which is a lovely thing because whichever happens to be more convenient is what's going to be enabled by default. There is your camera bar up top. Check that out. They spent a lot of time during the presentation talking about the zoom capabilities, starting with the optics, but then also moving into their software improvements with the ability to zoom to some pretty incredible ranges. And Google, I mean, everybody knows this at this point, has been sort of on the forefront with computational photography, early days of Pixel. We remember things like night mode. We remember things like portrait mode when we tried it out for the first time. And what they're doing with Zoom aims to be sort of the same thing. They're saying this is the best version of it they've ever had, kind of letting you reach into like a 20x zoom, which I don't know if that's something I'm going to use on a regular basis, but it's one of those things that when you reach for it, you're like, oh, wow, I have that. And then special stabilization capabilities, because once you're zoomed in, the thing is so hard to control. Same goes for video. So some of the demos that they showed off in the keynote were pretty impressive. This is a thing, obviously, we're going to have to test. The device has a very premium feel to it. It's cool to the touch. Android 13. It has a slim edge. So we have a somewhat waterfall effect taking place here around the edge and a fairly narrow band around the outside of the device. Over here on this side, you have your SIM tray. And then over on the other side, you have your power switch as well as your volume rocker. And they're kind of moved down the phone. This is a somewhat larger device. So this kind of lands where your thumb would be. I got to move over this way. So as you can see, there's the display. And this is where your thumb lands during a typical grip. Volume down below there. We go ahead and unlock it. And now it is booted up and turned on. We have our hole punch style front-facing camera in the center over here. And there's actually some fun ways in which you can use the watch to trigger selfies. They also spent some time talking about how they have a guided selfie for those that are visually impaired. And on the bottom here, we have our speaker units as well as our Type-C connector for our quick charging. This is a massive telescope-style lens in here. I hope it's possible to get a close-up on that. There is some depth to that on the inside. You can see I'm starting to accumulate a few fingerprints here on the darker model. That's where the later case comes in. This baby just easily snaps on. And then we get this finish on there without disturbing the design whatsoever. I mean, we keep something that's incredibly slim and actually provide a little bit more grip and texture and keep it from slipping out of the pocket inadvertently. Wow. Look at that. We got the perfect fit on there already. Super precise. Yeah, you can pre-order this right now. I'm always curious when we get a model that comes out just to make sure that everything is exactly the way I want it. What is this story you were reading there? You just clicked it right now. I don't believe you, Mo. Yeah, that looks great on there. Full coverage on the camera section, so when you put it down on the table, it's protected as well. You can pre-order this. The details are down in the description of this video. So they also spent a lot of time talking about the recycled and premium finishes. They were talking about recycling all of the, for the watch straps, all the threads and yarn and plastics and so on. It's kind of the trend these days, Will, 2022. You talk a little bit about
At the beginning, too.
Talk a little bit about
Recycling.
how much you're saving the environment and so forth through getting the new devices. Buy the new device, save the environment. You've heard it before. So is there anything here that I cannot do in this kind of hands-on video?
I don't think so.
I can go in, I can take some shots with the camera, can I, Will?
Sure, why not?
Well, you said it. You heard him say it. You heard him say it. I'm going to maybe the thing is I won't really evaluate what it's doing in camera, but I'll just play with it myself here. So by default, obviously, it's in this 1x setting. I'm going to snap a photo there. 0.6, obviously ultra wide, color temperature remaining the same. Here is the 2x, and I'm going to go all the way to 5. Ooh, oh my goodness gracious.
Oh,
I'm not evaluating anything.
impressive already?
Hang on a second. I'm not evaluating anything.
Okay.
Wow, what it did to Mo in the 5X. I was concerned because I saw the image getting noisier. It's not super bright in here. We have kind of like a moody ambience going on. I'm not evaluating anything. Wow. Pixel processing, though. I dare say pixel processing, Will. You take it easy over there, Will. Let's not get carried away. We got to wait till the 12th to do any type of reviewing of things. Let me load up an episode of Lew Later here. Comfortable to hold, an interesting size from a compromise perspective. It's obviously a big display. It competes with all the other big displays, but because they opted for this slim frame, these do end up feeling a little bit smaller than they are. And I know that the design's a bit different on the 7 model, the more one-handed oriented scale. YouTube platform. We've talked numerous times about YouTube Premium as an alternative method. Let me just turn up. I'm going to just turn up the quality setting here. A monetization for YouTube, the platform, and monetization for creators as well, because there is a revenue 4K setting split involved. Actually, a slightly more advantageous revenue. Oh, it's too bright for you, Mo. You got to dial that down. It's coming via YouTube Premium as opposed to ad sales at full brightness. Plus, obviously, the subscriber, the YouTube Premium subscriber, unit as well, gets to feel a little bit more connected with the content creators they want. Lew Later episode in the Lew Later set on Unbox Therapy, first hands-on of the Pixel 7 Pro, which we've talked about on Lew Later a number of times. Appreciate everybody's support across channels, by the way. This stuff is getting more and more premium feeling from Google. As I've been one of these users that's kind of been along for the ride since those early days with the Nexus program, and then you had the different hardware partnerships that were going on. And obviously this is just an initial hands-on, and there's a limitation to how much I can investigate things. So a lot of it will be just sort of my initial impressions of the hardware, but my goodness, things have gotten a lot more polished over the years. And there are plenty of things that I miss whenever I switch away from these devices, particularly if I switch to iOS. And like I found myself trying to use Siri in the way that I use Assistant. It's not effective. It's nowhere near at that level. And some of the stuff that was discussed during the presentation around transcribing audio messages from people, like the whole turning text into speech, untouchable. Will, I don't need to tell you, untouchable on the Google side. Translating things like this. And I think this is why they spend so much time talking about software, because I think they know that that is a major advantage they have in certain software segments.